welcome back to my channel. My name is Kat and today I'm doing a very specific video. So, as you may know, if you have been on my channel for a while, I absolutely love the Captive Prince series by C.S. Pacat. So it's a trilogy: Captive Prince, Prince's Gambit, and King's Rising. And I am on a mission to find dupes of Captive Prince. So if you don't know, Captive Prince really stands alone as a captive fantasy but no magic, historical but not real historical type of political intrigue and war and love story all together, where each element is equally strong. So I think that these are unparalleled within that realm, and I have been hunting for dupes. So first I want to talk about what specifically I'm looking for in books that I would call Captive Prince dupes, and then get into the 51 books that I found that were recommended. So without further ado, we're gonna get into it because I really want you to give me your opinion. Like, if you have, obviously 51 books, I'm not gonna read all of the 51 books, but as I was compiling the list, I was like, what better place to ask for help than the internet? Like, you will know if it has the elements I'm looking for or not, and you also might have books that I have missed because I was scrolling through the depths of Reddit, of book lists, of blogs, of Goodreads, like looking for recommendations that people say are similar to Captive Prince. So, all right, let's start part one, which is the elements that it must have. So I have 4 must-have elements and then 4 bonus elements. So the must-have elements for me, number 1, obviously, it is a captive element. So some sort of captivity. So this could be like a slave or a servant or a political prisoner or a captive of war, something like that. That is the first element, and it also often has forced proximity with it. Number 2, I'm looking for it to be MM or M non-binary because Captive Prince is MM. Number 3 must have is that each must be physically capable of holding their own. So I really don't love it when one of the characters is super physically overpowering and the other one is like weak or super physically helpless. They must be capable of each holding their own, whether they have different fighting styles or like one is physically strong and one has like magic or something that makes them strong. Both are capable of being physically equal. And the last must-have is that most of the power imbalance is from outside forces, so politics, war, a mission that they're on, or something like that. Those are the 4 must-haves. Now these are just bonus elements where dupes that I have read before place higher, closer to Captive Prince if they also have these elements. So number 1, each are equally intelligent. So if one is kind of a dum-dum, it really doesn't satisfy the Captive Prince-ness because in Captive Prince, both the main characters are intelligent in their own right. Number 2, they must be enemies or hate each other first. So I have read a few dupes where they are more neutral at the beginning and it doesn't give you that fire. It doesn't give you that like instant angst that Captive Prince does. So enemies or hate first preferred. Also icy hot preferred. Icy hot is like one character is like an icy kind of cold character and the other one is very hot, very like passionate or like outspoken. I really love that dichotomy. I think that it is very interesting and likes to keep the people going. All right, and the last one for bonus is closed/open. So we have one that is very like shuttered with their emotions and one that is more expressive. It kind of is icy hot, but like, yeah, so icy and closed and hot and open are usually like the separate sides that balance so beautifully in Captive Prince. So yeah, those are my 4 must-haves and my 4 bonus elements. And yeah, without further ado, I'm gonna get into the books that I have found looking all over the internet, like looking everywhere. And to make it easier, I have kind of broken them down into categories, and I'm just gonna put up the picture so that you can see everything within the category. The rating is from Goodreads at the time I'm making this video, and I'm not gonna let you know which ones of these I have read. I have read about a quarter of the ones on this list. I don't want to taint the waters, as it were. I want to just hear your recommendations and also hear what you have to think. So I'm just going to be super brief when I'm talking about each book, because otherwise this will be crazy, crazy long. So let's start out with the fantasy genre, and we're going to go captor royalty, where the one who is the captor is a member of the royalty. So first up, A Knife and a Blade by Adelaide Blake. This has Prince Renato and versus an enemy commander's son Matthias and a hostage situation. Then we have King of the Dark by Ariana Nash. This has Prince Vasily versus the soldier Nicholas, who is the slave. Then we have Alliance by Marriage by Jabrona BL. This has King Harpax versus a defeated enemy's son, who he puts into his harem. And this is a marriage to humiliate. And we also have The Emperor's Wolf by J.C. Owens, where it has Jaden, who is a soldier and a slave, versus the Emperor Dersai, known as the Wolf. So the next category that we have is fantasy genre, dealing with royalty, where royalty isn't necessarily like the captor, but is still involved. So we have Prince and the Assassin by Tavia Lark. This involves elite assassin Whisper versus Prince Julian and has court intrigue. We have The High King's Golden Tongue by Megan Dare. This has Prince Alan, who is a consort, versus the arrogant High King. We have Lord Mouse by Mason Thomas, involving Master Thief Mouse versus the charming Lord Garon, and involves a rescue mission. Next, we have The Devil's Fire by Sarah Bell. This involves Widower Gareth versus King Alaric in an arranged marriage. And then last in this category, we have Stag's Run by Maya Feli. This has Ren, who is a prince on the run, versus an Anik, who is an escaped prisoner, and they have to team up to stay alive. So yeah, as you can see, a lot of the power imbalances that are like political really come out when royalty is involved, because it is a natural setup for there to be outside power dynamics. So next we're going to get into fantasy with military subcategorization. So first up we have Prisoner by Megan Dare. So this has General Dieter, known as the Wolf, versus a no-name berserker soldier, and they have to team up to stay alive. We have Guarded by Kim Fielding, involving Volos, who is a scarred war hero soldier, versus the captured Prince Buranu, and it involves a rescue mission. Then after that we have Socrati by Kate Sherwood, involving Theos, who is an elite military fighter, versus the captive Finvid on a secret mission involving enemy nations. We have Concubine by Jill Knowles, involving Prince Kale, who is a scholar Captain War Prize, versus Warlord Terran. And then lastly, we have Tribute by Lisa Henry, involving Warlord Brasius and Prince Soldier Tribute Kainon. So similar to royalty, military settings also are an easy setup for power imbalance and hierarchy structure. All right, sticking in the fantasy genre, let's move into witches, wizards, and mages. First up, Desert Ice by Rose Mayfair. This has a warrior prince turned pleasure slave named Weil versus Mage Lysander, and they are fighting for their home. After that, we have Battle of Will by Sasha L. Miller, involving Mage Ackley versus an enemy prince, Aldwin. And they are magically bound till death, which is fun. Then we have Sebastian by Sam Argent, who is Wizard Sebastian versus Prince Turin, and they have to thwart an assassin. And last up, we have Soulweave by A. Naibo, Northern Champion Aquilon versus Clan Witch Lucian, and they have to go on a quest. Okay, next, let's stick in the fantasy genre, and let's talk about elves and fae. So we have Bloodraven by P.L. Nunn, which has a captive slave from a forest-dwelling people named Yalin, and Bloodraven, who is a half-ogre. Next we have Prince of Blades by Kay Thatcher. This involves a human slave, Eric, versus Fae Prince Kithril, where the human gets ancient magic. Then we have Silk and Steel by Ariana Nash, involving Erowyn, who is a captured elven assassin termed harem slave, versus warrior prince Lysander. And then last in this category, we have Counterpoint by Rachel Hamowitz. This has an elf warrior slave, Aiden, versus human prince Freyric, and involves war. All right, next in the fantasy category, let's do vampires. So we have Captive by Jex Lane. This is a prisoner vampire named Matthew versus an incubus High Lord General Tarek. And we have Night by Helly Heat. This is a captured vampire hunter named Cypress versus vampire named Haven in a dystopian Earth. And then last we have Gavin by J.C. Owens, involving a captive Gavin versus warrior blood drinker Vlad. And this is set in a world where men teach younger men both Eros and Ares, love and war. All right, we're getting down to the last few fantasy subgenres now. So the penultimate fantasy is shifters. So we have Dark Cravings by Joel Abernathy, involving a captured wolf shifter named Eddie versus an avenging church hunter named Castor. We have Tears of the Neko by Tyler Ryan, involving Prince Damien versus a gifted cat-like human Neko slave. Next we have A Thread of Deepest Black by Finn Marlowe. This involves shapeshifter Colton and werewolf Killian, and they are planning to have a one-night stand before killing the other. And then last we have Hajiri's Pet by Auburn, Imp, and Barnett. So this involves Zone Warrior Gun Whore Hariri and Snow Leopard Battle Pet Bodyguard Zen. Alright, and then the last in the fantasy genre is Other. So these are ones that didn't fit into any of the previous categories neatly. So we have A Dream of Flame and Shadow by Eliza Eveland. This has Master of Fire Blacksmith Nevin versus Lord of Nightmares Can. The Dragon King's Assassin by Amy Sumida, involving human assassin captive versus Dragon King, and this has the bodyguard element. We have Primal Sin by Ariana Nash. This has Demon Severn versus Guardian Angel Mikhail and Enemies to Lover's Revenge plot. The Traitor's Mercy by Iris Foxglove. This has a masochistic courtesan debtor named Saber and the courtesan house owner Laurent. Last, we have The Chimera by Adrian Wilder. This involves bartered treasure, Caleb, and Doxy Master God Within Beast, Leo. Okay, so that's all the fantasy. It's mostly fantasy, if I'm being honest, but we do have some sci-fi. So first we have Xerxes by Cora Knight, and this is an alien king named Xerxes versus a ship captain that has crashed on his planet. We also have Fireheart by Gloria H. Garreau, which has Lieutenant Vincha, who is a royal warrior captive, and captor, Pike, who is the commander. And last in sci-fi, we have Under His Heel by Adara Wolf. This involves Alex, who is a debtor, and Tract, who is a spaceship captain. All right. Next, we have historical. So these are set loosely in past historical times. So we have historical military. Into the North by Amber Huxley, which is a Roman legion soldier who is captured versus a barbarian, like berserker warrior who is one of the leaders in his village. We have The Owl King by Alex Farr, which involves fallen Darius war hero commander versus Fionn, who is a Celtic warrior who keeps him. We have The Lion and the Crow by L.A. Easton. The Crow is beauty with wit and strategy, and the lion is a large, fierce warrior, and they go on a quest. And then last is In Allegiance by Kate Islay. This is Matthias, who is an army commander, and Reeve, who is a prince's son and gifted slave. Last in historical is Other, so these are necessarily like non-military. The Scottish Boy by Alex de Campi, 19-year-old Sir Harry de Lyon versus captured savage dirty teen boy as his squire. The Gladiator's Master by Sutherland and Lab. This involves Caelus, who is a Roman politician, versus Gydres, who is a gladiator slave. And last is A Royal Affair by John Wiltshire, which involves a cool, rational doctor named Nikolai versus arrogant, willful Prince Alexei. Okay, so now we are to the last genre, which is contemporary. So we have contemporary subgenre kidnapping. So we have Call the Coroner by Avril Ashton. This is a captor out for revenge named Daniel and a captive chained, tortured named Stavros. We have The Kidnapping of Roan Sinclair by Ashlyn Derrick. So this involves a grad school musician named Roan versus his captor, who is a robber named Alexander. We have Shy by H.L. Knight. Captive crook drug dealer Elijah versus twisted captor drug lord Shy. And last is Love of the Egoist by Nero Seal, which involves police detective Kuon versus Black Duke Hugo, and this involves capture bonding. And we are to the last category, which is contemporary other. So these are ones that obviously didn't fit in the kidnapping subgenre. So we have Evanval, which I know is dystopian, but I didn't really have another place to put it, so it's contemporary with dystopia. This is by Ace and Santino Hassel. This has a killer fighter living weapon Sin versus Boyd, his softer partner with a death wish. We have Just a Bit Ruthless by Alessandra Hazard, which involves a billionaire homophobe versus the captured son of one of his business partners. And then last on this list, we have The Island by Lisa Henry, which involves painting dealer Shaw versus captured DEA agent Lee. Those are all the books. I think there are 51 that have been recommended on the internet as dupes of Captive Prince. So I'm really looking for the good stuff because I'd like to read the ones that are really, really recommended, especially by my followers who might know my taste better than others. As well as, if you have any books to recommend me that I missed, please, the more the merrier. Let me know. So I am so looking forward to what you have to say down in the comments. I cannot wait to see what books you bring to my attention. I am just so thrilled. And I know that this is a very specific video, but I wanted to do this video so bad. So I am just so excited. And with that being said, I will talk to you in another video soon. Lots of love. Bye!